We had more for you to laugh about today.
Unfortunately, it's dreadfully serious stuff. I will try and take it with a little bit of a grain of salt, but it's very serious.
And here we go. Let's begin as we await Donald Trump to take the stage in Michigan. The bombshell rocking the Clinton campaign just 8 days before the November 8th election. The FBI pouring over thousands of those emails connected to Hillary's longtime aide, Huma Abedin, which were found on a laptop belonging to her estranged husband, disgraced Congressman Anthony Weiner. All this as FBI Director James Comey is under pressure to release more information following his stunning announcement Friday that his agency would once again be examining emails possibly related to Clinton's time as Secretary of State. Here's Clinton campaign manager Robbie Mook on Fox News Sunday.
We were very surprised by this letter, and what we're asking at this point is that Director Comey just get all the information out on the table, all of it, so that the American people can judge for themselves. We have no information whatsoever about what might be in those emails, and again, according to Yahoo News, it appears that he may not have seen any of these emails at all.
And we have this reaction from House Judiciary Chair Republican Bob Goodlatte.
I did ask Director Comey yesterday to make available to the American people, just as John Conyers and other and Democrats have asked, as much information as possible so they can make that decision when they go to the polls.
Chief Intelligence Correspondent Catherine Herridge has more from Washington. Catherine.
Well, Sandra, a government source confirms to Fox News that metadata on Anthony Weiner's computer showed positive hits for Clinton emails as well as government records from the State Department. Metadata is like the address on a letter. You know who it's to and who it's from, but you don't know the content. A separate intelligence source said based on the metadata, it does appear a virtual certainty that new Clinton records are on the computer and likely contain classified information. The warrant will now allow investigators to move beyond the metadata to search Anthony Weiner's computer and to read the content of those emails. A source close to Weiner's legal team tells Fox's Brett Baer that it seems the laptop was used to back up his estranged wife's smartphone contacts, and in the process, it also backed up all of her emails as well, probably ending 3 to 4 years ago, but still covering the critical time period when Huma Abedin was at the State Department with then Secretary of State Hillary Clinton. On special report last night, the Republican chairman of the Benghazi Select Committee, whose investigators first uncovered Clinton's personal account, said the director is being unfairly targeted by Democrats.
Jim Comey's not responsible for a single one of the facts at hand. He didn't tell her to use a private server. He didn't tell Huma not to turn over all of her devices. And God knows he didn't tell Anthony Weiner to send sexually explicit texts to allegedly underage people.
As part of its ongoing reporting, Fox News was first to report in January the FBI email case had expanded to public corruption and whether the intersection of the Clinton Foundation's work and government contracts amounted to pay to play. The Wall Street Journal was first to report, and Fox News has now independently confirmed that the Justice Department, was in fact tapping the brakes on these FBI investigations into the Clinton Foundation, and this issue really came to a head between the FBI and Justice Department officials this summer. Back to you.
All right, Catherine Herridge, thank you for all your reporting on this, and I want to open this up to Judge Andrew Napolitano. Here we are at the noon hour Eastern Time on the Monday before the election. 8 days out, Judge. Give us an idea of what it looks like inside the FBI right now that they have this warrant to go over these thousands of emails. What are they doing right now?
All right, so I spent the weekend, as did Catherine and some of our colleagues, receiving information from a variety of law enforcement and intelligence community sources. When that information is corroborated, then we go with it. When it contradicts, then we investigate it further. But I have a pretty good idea, as does Catherine, whose work is superb, as you know. I have a pretty good idea of what's going on. The search warrant authorizing the FBI to get into and actually read the emails was not signed until last night. The application to induce the judge to sign the search warrant did not mention Hillary Clinton. It mentioned Huma Abedin. So the way for them to get into the laptop beyond Anthony Weiner's emails, he gave them the laptop, so he consented to them reading his textings and other things that he may have gathered in there. They're actually looking, I'm sorry to tell you, for child porn. They're looking for all kinds of things involving him. But to read the other ones from Huma. They needed a search warrant. To get a search warrant, they had to give a criminal basis for it. What's the criminal basis? That Uma did not tell the truth when she was interrogated by the FBI, because they now have evidence that contradicts it. Do we have all of your emails? They asked her in the interrogation. Yes, you do. Then they find 650,000 emails that she didn't tell them about. As we speak now, hundreds of FBI agents somewhere in Washington, D.C., and some also in New York City here, have broken up the 650,000 emails by various dates, times, places, and metadata, and are beginning to examine it to see if there's any evidence of criminal activity on the part of anybody, Anthony Weiner, Huma Abedin, or Hillary Clinton.
And right now we're hearing calls from Republicans as well as Democrats. Give us more information. We're 8 days out. More information. What is the next move by the director?
This is where I have been very, very critical of James Comey. It is odd for me to be on the same page as Eric Holder, but I'm on the same page here. It is absolutely unlawful and unethical for anybody in law enforcement to give a progress report on an investigation midstream. He should not have sent that letter on Tuesday. He should have unleashed his FBI agents to do all the digging they can. And when he finds evidence of a crime, he ships it to the Justice Department, and they decide that it should go to a grand jury. For him to comply with what Republicans and Democrats want would be another violation of the law, because this is evidence of criminal behavior. He can't reveal it midstream.
Right. So what you're talking about is the Hatch Act, which prohibits the FBI official authorities getting involved in anything this close to an election. That's how I understand it. That's part of it. That's what Senator Harry Reid says is the crime that James Comey has committed.
Harry Reid, again, is off the wall. This is not a Hatch Act violation. The Hatch Act is a federal statute that applies to all federal employees except the president and the vice president, that prohibits them from using federal assets, federal time, or the aura of their office to campaign, not to make a law enforcement decision that has an effect on a campaign, but actually to campaign. This is not a Hatch Act violation. The violation is a regulation that prohibits making announcements about somebody whose name is on a ballot within 60 days of the ballot, and due process. How unfair is it to Mrs. Clinton? She has constitutional rights like the rest of us. We have something on you. We can't tell you what it is.
Reid's move goes nowhere.
Can I point out something that Catherine Harrod said that was really interesting and really important? She said that Huma Abedin was backing up her phone to this laptop.
And other devices.
Multiple times.
I mean, to me, that means, first of all, she knew what she was doing. She knew that all the emails were there. So when she said that she didn't have them any longer, or she didn't have a relevant device at home, that was for sure a lie, because backing up your phone to your laptop is an active thing. It also means that those are all those deleted emails, those 33,000 emails that everybody's looking for. If she was backing up her entire device to her laptop, then she has all of them, and she knows she has all of them.
But she also admitted under questioning that she never deleted a thing. And, you know, I don't know if she's as guilty as that. Anthony could be the technical one in the marriage. He could have been the one who was like, you know what, just go ahead, let me handle this. I'll make it easy for you. So when you come home from work, you can just open up your laptop and all of your contacts will be here. Maybe he didn't tell her that all of her emails were on there. You know, I don't give her that much benefit of the doubt, but I do think that perhaps this was personally motivated by Anthony Weiner. You know, maybe he knew that this was a bargaining chip that he could play in a case that could sink his personal and professional life.
Has also reported from some incredible sources that while Anthony Weiner is not cooperating with the FBI, that is, he's not sitting down and talking to them, he has been cooperative because he handed over the laptop. They didn't have to go to a grand jury and get a subpoena. They didn't have to go to a federal judge and get a search warrant.
All right.
Well,
so much
he's in
more.
a nasty divorce case right now. So
his problems are far worse than divorce. He's facing 50 years in a federal prison.
For the underage.
And if they find child porn there, yes.
All right, we have so much more to get to on this, and we'll get to it later. But in case we forgot to mention it, we're 8 days out, just 8 days until we head to the polls. And when you're not actually voting, keep yourself glued to the Fox News channel. We will have the best coverage and analysis all day long and into the wee hours of the night. FNC is the place to be on Election Day. And as we mentioned, we are awaiting Donald Trump in Michigan. He's stepped up his attacks on Hillary Clinton in the wake of the FBI's stunning announcement. Can he turn Hillary's latest email problems to his advantage? Plus, talk about a change in strategy. Hillary Clinton no longer laying low, but going negative big time on Donald Trump. Will this help her and make voters forget about all her scandals? And after the show, you can join our live chat by clicking the Overtime tab at foxnews.com/outnumbered or go to facebook.com/outnumberedfnc. And of course, you can tweet us any questions you have. Send them in. The judge is here. We'll see you there.
Donald Trump seizing on the FBI's renewed investigation into Hillary Clinton's email server to help boost his campaign, some calling it a gift. At rallies over the weekend, he slammed what he calls Hillary Clinton's latest bombshell of corruption.
Now the FBI has found, you're not going to believe this one, this just happened, another 650,000 emails. How do you get to 650? I think that's called the mother lode. I think they found them all. This is the single biggest scandal since Watergate.
We all know about Hillary's mounting legal troubles that she's brought onto herself with her willful and deliberate criminal misconduct. Hillary Clinton is not the victim, by the way. She's not the victim. You, the American people, are the victims of this corrupt system in every way.
But even with Trump hammering away at this issue, his campaign manager says the email revelations will not be the main focus of their campaign in the final stretch. Watch.
We have a couple of different paths to 270, and we'll just continue pursuing them this week. We're also talking about Obamacare. People are opening up their mailboxes, clicking onto their computers, and seeing their premiums are rising out of control. We're talking about ISIS, job creation, and certainly ethics, but I don't plan on making the Comey investigation, the main centerpiece of our messaging. Mr. Trump will continue to talk about what he's talked about all along.
All right.
Okay, so we're going to talk about the damage that he can do to her by using this. New polling shows that 34% of likely Hillary Clinton voters see less likely that they would vote for her because of this. That seems to be something to talk about.
You know, I think his goal needs to be the undecideds, because this information over the weekend, and I'm parroting now Larry Sabato of the University of Virginia, knows more about this than I do, will actually drive Democrats to vote for Hillary who thought she was going to win anyway. They'll now come to the belief, well, she needs every vote she can get. It will drive some wavering Republicans to vote for him because now they have even more antipathy towards Mrs. Clinton. So Kellyanne Conway may be onto something, that the undecideds are more interested in the different presidencies the two would have rather than her emails about which they've heard enough. At least that's the way I understood Kellyanne.
I mean, clearly this is an opportunity for him to grab all the positive headlines, and every headline about her right now is speculation over what the FBI found or is finding in those emails. Isn't this an opportunity for him to just take that high road and just hammer in on his messages? Yes.
Now, in fairness to her, those 650,000, we talked about this, are unlikely to be all hers. So even though we said to the crowd they found 650,000, they're not all Mrs.
What if 6,500 are? What if 1% of those emails either have classified information or they are directly pertaining to Secretary of State, something that she should have turned over?
This brings us back to July 5. Jim Comey's press conference. She didn't commit a crime. She was not grossly negligent, the standard under the statute. She was reckless. Recklessness is Hillary Clinton, right. That's the mistake that he made at that time, which I think he's now trying to collect. The mountain of evidence sufficient to indict, prosecute, and convict on July 5 was overwhelming. He's discounted it.
Okay, but go ahead, Mel.
No, I was going to say, bringing it back to Trump's strategy for a bit here, because I was happily on duty all weekend and probably watched more of the Trump speeches, and Hillary's for that matter, than anyone else. He was very smart too. He certainly hit on the scandal that was going on, but he went right to Obamacare. I mean, that was the number one thing I would think he probably spent the most time on this weekend, that goes along with Kellyanne's strategy. And for a lot of Americans out there, that's what matters to them right now. They're opening up their bill and they're seeing that their premiums are jumping to $1,300 a month. All of these different numbers that they can't afford. And they're like, it's very nice that you guys are all talking about whether or not she can be trusted, but I've got bills to pay and I can't pay them. Obamacare's a disaster.
And that's a smart pivot for them, because I think the thing that really influences people here for undecided voters in relation to Hillary Clinton, it's not the details of what the emails contain or who has them or the relationship between Huma and Hillary. I think the important thing here is people realize, like, this is going to bleed far past Election Day. And what is in here? And what else has this woman done? Is she accountable for? And that's also what drives the unfavorable ratings with her and the untrustworthiness.
Judge, real quickly before we move on from this issue, there was a suggestion in Insiders on Fox Report last night that Donald Trump actually used the free media that he gets to talk about Obamacare, but by 30 minutes to have like a fireside chat to talk about Hillary Clinton. Irrespective of how the media might want to couch his comments, he pulls out of that. Quickly, what are your thoughts?
I think he's far better off, and far be from me to give him advice, but I think he's far better off in front of a crowd. I think he'd be bored himself doing a 30-minute fireside chat.
We'll move on. Hillary Clinton appears to be reversing course, going negative big time on Donald Trump. So it's interesting how the two campaigns are dealing with this. Just 2 weeks ago, she was laying low while Trump dealt with the fallout over that leaked video from 2005 where he made lewd comments about women. Clinton lightened her schedule and was touting a largely positive message. Fast forward to now, after Friday's FBI bombshell, Clinton is in attack mode. Watch.
Donald Trump is doing his best to confuse, mislead, and discourage the American people. I mean, he's such a downer, right? I mean, who pretends to help kids with HIV and AIDS in order to make themselves look good? And it's time for him to stop fear-mongering, stop distracting from what's really at stake, and frankly, stop disgracing our democracy. We can't let him get away with this. Of course, because he's refused to release his tax returns, we don't even know if he's ever given anything. But here's what we do know. With Donald, it's always Donald Trump first and everyone else last.
All right, so she's going negative. Is this in bounds, that ad? I heard you make
I sighed because I'm probably the only one on this couch old enough to remember that ad.
But we study history.
As a fierce supporter then and still lover of the great Senator Barry Goldwater, it pained me then, it pains me now, but it was profoundly effective. It terrified the American public, all but the hardcore conservative Republicans, which were fewer in those days. And Lyndon Johnson won in a landslide. Is it fair? I mean, at this point,
is it in bounds?
Yes, I think it is bound. It is in bounds. Almost anything is in bounds at this point. But it is unusual for the leader in the polls, which she has been and to a certain extent still is, to go so negative. Yeah. Usually the leader in the last 7 days wants to act presidential, put his or her arms around everybody.
She doesn't want to do this. She doesn't want to. She was caught flat-footed. They have no idea what is in this trove. The FBI is not being forthcoming. James Comey has gone rogue. He and Loretta Lynch are no longer working together. I believe that Lynch was shielding the former Secretary of State and was informing her of what was going on. That's why people have so many questions about the meeting that the Attorney General and the former president had in Phoenix. And now you're saying, and it's funny because Hillary Clinton says that Donald Trump, perhaps hasn't donated any money. Well, we know that he donated to the best charity in the entire world, the Clinton Foundation. So that's something.
Wait, but to be clear, to go back to the I don't even know if I can continue. But James Comey, you said it would be illegal for him at this point to give any update on the investigation. So it's not that he's holding out on us at this point.
When the Democrats say, show your cards, and the Republicans say, show your cards, he's not going to show his cards.
Okay.
They should be careful what they ask for.
So talking about Hillary Clinton for a second, I had to go look up the exact words and the exact date, but October 23rd, following the 3 presidential debates, she said she doesn't even think she's going to respond to Donald Trump anymore. She's going to let voters decide, the American people decide what he offers and what he can offer to them. She's going to talk about what the next president should do. She's certainly, as you just rolled tape on her in recent days, she's certainly getting away from that and now on the attack, going after Donald Trump.
Change the subject. So last night on Fox Report, Doug Schoen, who worked inside the Clinton White House for 6 years,
a good friend of many
known Hillary Clinton for such a long time, dropped a bombshell on us, and he brought up the words constitutional crisis. I want to watch it and ask you about it.
Okay.
If the Secretary of State wins, we will have a president under criminal investigation, with Huma Abedin under investigation, the Secretary of State, the president-elect, should she win, under investigation, Harris. Under these circumstances, I am actively reassessing
my support. Harris, I'm deeply concerned that we will have a constitutional crisis if she's elected.
Wow.
I want to learn more this week, see what we see. But as of today, I am not a supporter of the Secretary of State.
Constitutional crisis. He says that we will grind to a halt.
Right. Doug is a friend and a very bright person and a well-educated and well-schooled lawyer. But I do disagree with him. In a case called Clinton against Jones, that's when Paul Jones sued Bill Clinton. The Supreme Court basically said if it's civil litigation, if it's an automobile accident, sexual harassment, the president has to answer for it. If it's criminal, the president doesn't have to answer for it until after he or she is in the White House. That's issue number one. Issue number two, I know this seems unthinkable, almost unpardonable, hint, hint.
Uh-oh.
And there would be a tremendous political reaction, but she could pardon herself.
Wow.
Barack Obama could pardon her the day before. We wouldn't do it the day before because of the political reaction the day after Election Day. So I do think Doug's concerns, though well-grounded, would not play out the way he fears they might.
But isn't it interesting that this is exactly what it would be like again?
Yes.
I mean, you remember the Clinton days, you remember the constant legal challenges, you remember the parsing of the word it. We are right back to exactly where we were before, and it would be another 4 years just like that.
We might actually be back to where Richard Nixon was when he was inaugurated in 73, with law enforcement snapping at his heels. You don't remember? How long have I been around? When law enforcement was snapping at his heels from minute one and caught up with him in the summer of 74.
Who gets ignored in the process?
Say again?
The people.
All of us.
Yes.
The economy.
Yes.
No matter how it works out. All right, we'll move on. It is on. Hillary Clinton and her team also in attack mode against FBI Director James Comey after he said his agency took another look at Clinton's email scandal. Whether this is a good strategy to go after Comey too, or could it backfire?
Hillary Clinton and her team going on the attack against FBI Director James Comey in the wake of the stunning new revelations about her email scandal. At a rally in the battleground state of Florida, the Democratic nominee appearing to suggest that Director Comey is trying to influence the election. Watch.
Now, I'm sure that some of you may have heard about a letter that the FBI director sent out yesterday. It's pretty strange to put something like that out with such little information right before an election. In fact, it's not just strange, it's unprecedented, and it is deeply troubling because...
And we have this. Clinton's campaign is circulating a letter that is reportedly asking former federal prosecutors to sign, criticizing Comey, reading in part, quote, Comey's unprecedented decision to publicly comment on evidence in what may be an ongoing inquiry just 11 days before a presidential election leaves us both astonished and perplexed. Perhaps most troubling to us is the precedent set by this departure from the department's widely respected nonpartisan traditions. What do you make of Hillary Clinton saying Comey's trying to influence the outcome of this election?
I don't know that he's trying to influence the outcome of the election as much as he's trying to undo the damage he did on July 5, twofold. One, by defying the obvious and saying there isn't enough evidence here to prosecute her for failure to secure state secrets when there was a mountain of it. Two, below the radar screen now, we get this from sources, a revolt by FBI agents, both young FBI agents who worked on the case and senior and now retired FBI agents, that he didn't do the right thing and made the agency look wrong. Now, in his efforts to reverse this or temper it, he's created, in my view, even more of a mess. I will tell you, I was asked to sign that letter. I did not, because it's my job to work on television. But I agree with much of it. It was unprecedented what he did, and it was wrong.
All right, so can I go just quickly to the judge's point, because I think this is really important, and we're learning from the Wall Street Journal that you had a lot of FBI agents that were trying to pursue leads in investigating the Clinton Foundation, and they were told to back off, both from Deputy Director Andrew McCabe, whose wife received almost $500,000 from the governor of Virginia, Terry McAuliffe, who's also under investigation by the FBI in the same case.
I have argued, tell me if you agree, that the Clinton Foundation public corruption investigation, you want to visit the Secretary of State, you make a substantial contribution to her husband's foundation, then maybe she'll let you visit with her, is an easier case for the public to understand, for prosecutors to win, and for a jury to understand than the email cases.
All right, so let's talk overall, though, about this strategy, because the Trump campaign has something to say about Clinton going on the attack against the FBI director. Here's Kellyanne Conway on Fox and Friends.
No, it's a terrible strategy to basically go on a full-on assault on the FBI director, calling him out and telling him to put everything out on the table. Hillary Clinton can do that today. She just has to call her friend and confidant Huma Abedin and say, tell us what's in the email. Tell us what's on the devices that you shared with your pedophile husband who's sexting a 15-year-old girl in North Carolina, which is how we got back to this place in the first instance. I think it's a terrible strategy, but it's very much the strategy of Hillary Clinton throughout her career, which is to shoot the messenger, attack the person who's calling to question your veracity, your fitness for office. But it's not a good look for them.
Not a good look for them, Melissa.
Harry Reid was somebody that they sent out to go on the attack against Comey. In the past, Harry Reid said no one can question the integrity or the competence, talking there about James Comey. Nancy Pelosi, another one out there who was fitting him with a spike and was ready to grill him and roast him, said this is a great man. We are privileged in our country to have him be the director of the FBI. Tim Kaine, the wonderful and tough career public servant Jim Comey, he is somebody with the highest standards of integrity. The tables turn and they turn again. Last time around, the Trump campaign, same thing. They were roasting him. Now they say he's great. But let's just remember, they loved him about 5 minutes before this happened.
And it got even nastier last night when Senator Reid sent out that note directly to Comey saying, in the end, I was the person who delayed your confirmation. When others were against you, I was trying to drum up support because I believed that you were a man of integrity. I now maybe was wrong. And when you read the end of that letter, I mean, it's strong language.
Hey, there's one voice we haven't heard in all this, the person who appointed Jim Comey to run the FBI. Where's the president in all this? Are the wheels falling off the Justice Department?
All right. So many questions. And you're bringing up more, Judge. She's one of Hillary Clinton's closest aides and confidants, but now Huma Abedin is off the trail, and she could be in some serious legal trouble amid the latest email drama surrounding her boss. Could Huma face criminal charges? And should she step down from the Hillary Clinton campaign?
Welcome back. This is Outnumbered. Hillary Clinton's longtime aide, Huma Abedin, taking a break from the campaign trail this weekend after the FBI announced it discovered emails possibly related to its investigation of Clinton's server on her estranged husband Anthony Weiner's laptop. Now, in June, Abedin said under oath that she had searched all of her devices, and when she left the State Department, she signed a document saying she didn't have any classified information in her possession. That's the same scenario that landed former CIA Director David Petraeus in hot water. Now, meantime, it appears Donald Trump may have predicted something like this last summer.
So Huma is getting classified secrets. She's married to Anthony Weiner, who's a perv. So she's married to Anthony Weiner. Do you think there's even a 5% chance that she's not telling Anthony Weiner, now of a public relations firm, what the hell is coming across?
Right.
Lord only knows what he's reading. On that laptop, and still no sign of Huma on the campaign trail today. Now, here is video from this morning of Clinton boarding her campaign plane, heading to Ohio. So, Judge, let's discuss this a little bit. So, you know, we bring up General Petraeus and the crime that he was charged with. How is this any different from, you know, the mathematical probability that Huma Abedin has classified information on that laptop?
Far worse than what General Petraeus was charged with and for which he pleaded guilty. General Petraeus' matters were all in loose leaves in his guarded and protected home. He was the director of the CIA. He shared them with another person, his biographer, with whom he apparently had a relationship, who herself had a national security clearance. That's the extent of the David Petraeus situation. Now we're talking about probably many, many national security secrets put into an insecure place called espionage. Same crime for which Hillary Clinton was investigated and mysteriously exonerated by the same Jim Comey.
Does that set a precedent for Huma Abedin, though?
I hope not. I hope that Jim Comey's announcement on July 5 was an aberration and not a precedent. That remains to be seen.
A one size fits all just for Hillary Clinton. So the potential for bribery with Anthony Weiner, given his past and present, and his proclivity for texting all sorts of
man
things.
of ill repute.
I mean, you talk about, if he were clairvoyant Donald Trump, I don't know what it was, but you talk about a setup that was potent. I mean, potentially disastrous, with him having national security type information, if there's any classified or otherwise in there. It's not just that Uma Abedin was, backing it up on their laptop. He had it, and anybody could have bribed him.
I don't mean for this to sound weird, but it's going to sound weird. I hope that even a pervert can be patriotic. I hope that even Anthony Weiner,
that sounds bizarre.
Who was a member of Congress, who was the chief of staff for Chuck Schumer, who was a mainstay in Democratic politics in New York City.
This has nothing to do with him.
He knows what not to do.
This has to do with an outsider wanting to maybe bribe if they knew that there was information on there.
This is
somebody who is doing something. I mean, Anthony Weiner allegedly sending pictures back and forth with an underage girl. He is in a position where he's totally vulnerable.
Right.
Exactly.
He could be extorted. I mean, you heard what Catherine Herridge said at the beginning of the show. She is backing up her phone to a device that they share. He has access to all that. What Donald Trump said was just logical.
Okay,
where he said she's sharing a home and devices and electronics with someone who is out of control, who is terrible with technology, who takes all kinds of
That's why the standard of proof in these espionage cases is not intent, it's gross negligence.
There you go.
Could the national security have been harmed by Uma's gross negligence by sharing it with her husband? Could it have been harmed by Hillary's gross negligence by sharing it with Sid Blumenthal?
So while we wait for any more evidence, based on what we actually know today, should Huma Abedin actually still be on a presidential campaign? Should she still be there, and will she go?
No, she should be in her lawyer's office, and the lawyer should be negotiating with the Justice Department as we speak, just as Hillary's lawyers negotiated with the Justice Department to keep her from getting indicted.
And that may be the case, because as we've been saying, it's being termed as laying low, but we don't know. Maybe she's having
I'll throw a wild one out there. Anthony is cooperating with the Justice Department against his wife. How about Uma cooperating with the Justice Department against her present and maybe soon to be former boss?
Wow.
Well, when people
interesting.
When people go down and they get desperate, what do? They pull other people with them. And, it's obvious to see that Anthony Weiner would do that, certainly with his wife, who had chosen a career over a marriage, in his estimation, one could guess. But also, you're absolutely right. Why wouldn't she do the exact same thing to Hillary Clinton if she's the one who's supposed to take the fall in all of this?
Can we do a story so I can laugh?
Oh,
something that's lighter humorous.
It just might be awkward. See? That wasn't awkward. That was good.
Yeah, no, nothing in here that's going to make you laugh.
Laugh a little bit.
Overtime, Judge.
There we go.
All right, a campaign already full of twists and turns, rocked by yet another one. The Clinton email bombshell marking the 6th October surprise of this month, but compared to others and to October surprises of elections past, is this one the granddaddy of them all? We will discuss. Stay right here.
The Clinton email bombshell marking the 6th October surprise of this campaign. The month started with the revelation that Donald Trump could have avoided paying taxes for 18 years. Then there was the Access Hollywood tape with Trump making lewd comments about women. That was followed by the WikiLeaks email dumps, giving Clinton's campaign a series of headaches. Where to even start there? Then it was back to Trump as several women accused him of sexual misconduct. Last week, Obamacare confirming double-digit premium hikes. And then, of course, there was Friday's enormous bombshell, the FBI renewing its Clinton email investigation. A lot of surprises so far this season. And I dare say, Harris, we might not be done yet.
Well, no. So we just turned, we found this out during the commercial break. We actually knew, but we got a chance to read CNN's statement now. Donna Brazile, the interim chair to the DNC, is no longer employed at CNN. And what they're saying is they're separating themselves. CNN never gave Brazile access to any question, prep material, attendee list, background information, or meetings in advance of a town hall or debate, because Brazile is accused of giving pre-debate questions. We watched the Megyn Kelly interview on our own network about a week ago. I mean, she was in hot water, and now they have parted
I was going to say, can you please continue that statement?
Yeah.
It goes on to say, we are completely uncomfortable with what we have learned about her interactions with the Clinton campaign while she was a CNN.
And by the way, Donna Brazile became the interim DNC chair because of leaks regarding Debbie Wasserman Schultz.
So Megyn Kelly says
it's not being fair to Bernie Sanders and having it actually rigged against him within the party.
The interesting thing here, the elements that are coalescing this race in the very, very end actually have almost nothing to do with WikiLeaks. And it's very curious that the Clinton campaign is now in a position where they are flat-footed. They want more information from the FBI director because they want more ammunition, and they can't blame the Russians.
So Megyn Kelly says to Megyn Kelly says to Donna Brazile, did you leak this information? Donna Brazile says, I'm accustomed to persecution, and I don't like being persecuted. Now, obviously, that's not an answer. So if this were in a courtroom, the judge would say to the jury, you heard the question? You heard the answer? You decide what she's avoiding or evading.
CNN did decide, apparently.
Yes.
Perhaps they did their own investigation.
We're talking about this again because there was more wiki this morning that involved more things from Donna Brazile, and it just continues along that line. At the same time, I mean, this is making past campaigns look very clean. We were taking a look back at some of the other times we've seen October surprises. There was, of course, in 1800, you'll remember, that
pointing at me?
Thomas Jefferson called
I knew
John
Thomas
Adams,
Jefferson.
Did you know, a hermaphrodite. Somebody was making a joke about that the other day.
He said a hermaphroditical character.
Okay.
Which is slightly different than calling him a literal hermaphrodite.
How is it different?
Well, he's saying that his character is both male and female, so maybe he's got like a
He wasn't very physically attractive, John Adams.
What's the next one, Melissa?
See if I remember
there are a lot in here, but I mean, remember George W. Bush when the DUI came out? That was actually November 2nd. It was an October surprise, but that's so tame by comparison.
Yes.
I mean, now people.
But that's the thing. We have 8 days to go.
I know.
Normally we'd say final stretch, we're there. But so much can still happen.
What do you think the odds are? Another surprise?
Oh, absolutely.
Another
We just had one.
Another surprise?
Absolutely.
Melissa, one more?
Could we see a situation by the end of the day that Donna Brazile would actually leave that chairperson job open again at the DNC? You think not?
We'll see. I think not, but we'll see. All right, more outnumbered in just a moment.
What a day it has been. Election day is right around the corner, and we want you to spend the entire day right here. So go out and vote. And then if you haven't yet, then stick around, watch the Fox News channel. We'll have all the updates that you need here.